Hello and welcome to the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club, where if coercing your college roommate into being your boyfriend is wrong.
I don't want to be right.
My name is Courtney, and I'm joined today by Val. Thank you, Val, for being here. How are you doing?
Yay, I'm great. And I love being here, but I appreciate you thanking me anyway.
I always am so grateful that you join me for these, and I love that we do BL anime because I will be honest, this is kind of my favorite episode of the month.
Yeah.
And the story we're talking about today is 4-Week Lovers. Spoiler alert, I fucking love this one. It made me so happy. It was one of the first things I've watched in a while where I was like desperate for it to be longer and not shorter. So
Yes.
I am really excited to talk about it today. This was your first time watching it, right?
Yes.
And you've never
I raw dogged this. I had nothing planned. I didn't look up the plot. I raw dog jumped in and started watching episodes. I knew no context, nothing.
So this is going to be a 10-episode BL anime on Vicky Rakuten, and I really like Vicky Rakuten, and they have several BL anime on there. So definitely, if you guys haven't checked out that app, go check it out. If you guys are looking to read the story, the BL manhwa is on Manta, and I did see that they have a deal for the first 5 chapters free until August 24th. So if you want to read this, I am absolutely going to go read this as soon as we're done here. I was obsessed with this, and I definitely want the full story. I saw that there is a spicy version and there is an all ages version. So
the spicy version's never the free version though.
Oh, it never is. So be careful if you do go into Manta to get this, that you get the spicy version if that's what you're looking for. And I did go in there and check out an episode. So yes, it is much spicier than the anime obviously is allowed to be. And I am definitely going to go back for all of that.
Wait. What's the lightsaber sensor situation?
It's a whited out lightsaber is from what I've seen. I don't know. Sometimes they update their censorship and like do color in later on like Jinx did. But from what I could see, it was going to be in that chapter that I bought and opened up. It was going to be a white. So who knows if in a second season they did some uncensored stuff. But I am very excited for that. In our anime, we didn't get anything quite explicit, but I will say the anime was rated R. So I was like, you could have given us, I know, I was like, you could have given us a little bit more if you were going to rate it R anyways.
Or qua.
But there is enough in there. Didn't you feel like there was enough in there to like make it enough spice that I was interested?
Insinuated. I feel like there was one point where he was going in his own head and there was like 8 versions of him. And he said, you've already... Like, he said something down there is what he said. And I was like, oh, did they already do it?
So what I think is, from what I have been able to garner from my research, is that they do hook up in high school. So usually I don't read any stories with, like, explicit material in high school. But I think the way the story does it is second chance romance. These two are adults in college, and they're flashing back to high school. So I think it's always in this context of a flashback. But I do think that their relationship is more intimate in the manhwa earlier on in the relationship, which again, no shame here. If I had a second chance with my high school boyfriend, I would have a lot of flashback memories about what we used to get up to. So no shame here. And I do feel like the context of this being like an adult couple with flashes back to their original relationship when they were younger, it eliminates some of my ickiness. Yeah, it's a little different. So I am very excited to check that out. And then as far as the author, this is going to be Maroron. I hope I said that right. And it was released in 22, and then the anime was released in 2024. So relatively recent content here.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like there is some like tsundere yandere conversations to be had about this piece, but I am not as well versed in those dynamics. Did you pin him? Is he a tsundere? What is
tsundere?
Is that when you're like super loving, and then if you kind of don't get your way, you can be a little bit mean?
So tsundere is like you're very like aggressive.
Okay.
And you're also kind of like, no, but wait, why don't you?
So the bottom is a little bit of a tsundere because we have
that. Yeah.
Okay, because our main characters are going to be Jaehee and Dojun, and Dojun is the bottom. And as far as a bottom goes, I loved him because he has this personality of push you away, push you away, push you away, want you to come back to me anyways. And I can really relate to that. And I also I love that the other character seems to rile him up in order to make him feisty. He's kind of like toying with him and playing with him throughout the story in order to get a rise out of him so that he'll like pinch him or stick him with a pencil, because any even negative attention from this person is attention that he wants. So I really love that bottom character, but the top character is overly sweet, overly obsessive, overly nice. But when he doesn't get what he wants, he does have this like evil sparkle in his eye where he's willing
He's
to
a little manipulative. Yeah.
Manipulative. And he's like,
Uh-huh.
he had this line in the anime where he said, "I will treat you better than you ever treat me." And I was like,
I was like, oh, okay.
I love the line, one of my favorite lines of the story. And at the same time, I was like, you're being manipulative even when you're saying that, because he will never manipulate you. And you know you're manipulating and guilting him. So is that really treating him better? But that's dynamic of like, one is very outwardly like pushing the other way and rejecting the other, while the other one is like really chasing them and really clingy. I feel like that's so realistic.
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
This reminds me of semantic error.
Oh my God, it's so semantic error coded. We've got a person who is halfway. So to get into our tropes, because almost all of these tropes align, except for the second chance romance and the childhood friends. That's not the same in semantic error, but a lot of this is. So we've got our second chance romance / reunion. We've got school / campus, slow burn, childhood friends to lovers, contract / fake dating, roommates, forced proximity. And then we've got this stalker dubcon element.
Obsessive.
And in semantic error, he moves in right next door to him. He forces the proximity. He doesn't take no for an answer. And it's...
But then the other one's like in denial, and we know they're in denial the whole time also.
Yes. And I think that this anime, I don't know how well the manhwa does with it, but the anime had moments of almost dubcon where you really kind of worry for the main character. And then it goes inside his own head or flashes back to his past experiences. And it's so forward with him saying, I'm denying my feelings. I completely reciprocate his feelings and I'm denying them.
Yeah.
So
He's like, I know I like him, but I'm not going to tell him that.
Yeah. So then as the reader, instead of feeling like he's being coerced, we feel like he is getting this truth pulled out of him that he is denying himself. So you feel a little less guilty as the reader when he's like put in these positions that look coercive, because we get his internal monologue that he has always liked this guy and he does want to... He wants to move forward. He just doesn't know how to do that while still protecting himself. And I felt like it dealt with the issue of the dubcon pretty quickly in the anime because it's so short. It's 60 minutes over 10 episodes. So we didn't have to sit with that discomfort for too long, but it's definitely comfortable at moments. And it just wrote that line of like, is this stalking? Is this reciprocated? Is this Stockholmy? Or does this character genuinely want this other person hanging around them all the time?
And while it is manipulation, I think it's codependency technically, because you're behaving in a certain way to get a specific reaction out of another person.
Yeah.
And so like I think that at its core is technically codependency is like a form of manipulation, right? But it's also like it's more like you, the person who is managing the codependent, you feel better about it because you think it's in the best interest for the other person and yada yada. So but again, to your point, like it didn't feel uncomfortable because we knew more or less the whole time that they're both into each other.
Exactly. And those like flashes back to their high school years. It's like, okay, so he's had these feelings for 10 years. It's not like he's unsure. He does know he likes this guy, even though he ghosted him. And the thing you're talking about it being in his best interest, by the end of the story, I had reached this conclusion that this is, in a very light, subtle way, a soft dom, a bratty bottom. And that's what it is. He's a brat the whole time.
Let me sit on this.
Yes.
Yeah, let me sit on this. Okay. Yeah, because when they were kissing and the top pulled away and the bottom was like, he got petty about it.
And he thought in his head, I want more. And the other guy read his thoughts and thought in his own head, I know you want more. It's written all over your face and I won't give it to you until you say out loud what you want and what you need. So admit to me, confess to me how much you like me, and I'll give you what you want. So
And that's semantic error at the end.
Yes. And so there is a line in the 10th episode of this, which I guess we could go through the plot quickly as well. But in the last episode, there's a moment where our bottom, Dojun, gets the flu at the end. And he says,
yeah.
He says, go back to sleep. You need to go back to sleep in order to be healthy. And instead of being his normal bratty self and pushing back against this order, he goes back to sleep. And then Jaehee says, you finally complied. You finally complied with something I said. If only you were always this sweet. And that is when I was like, oh my God, he's a dom. This bratty bottom who has money issues and is very anxious about doing well in school so that he can support himself and, doesn't let any walk on him or take his money. Like all of those things have made him so protective of himself that he can't let go. And this soft dom, this gentle dom top is like, I will make you understand what you want and ask for it nicely, and it will be better for you, and I will do it in the most controlled, healthy way I can. And there's a moment where he can't control himself, and he almost like goes too far, and he's like, I can't control myself when you're in front of me. I'll step back. And I was like, this is a very healthy, like, dom relationship where he is not trying to take advantage of this man, even though he's manipulating him. He's trying to move him forward in his own goals that he doesn't understand he's standing in his own way for. So by the end of this, it hit all of my favorite tropes. That this like slightly toxic man became my favorite by the end of this.
Obviously. Okay, on his toxicity though, we do get during the flashback, we get to see that his mom, like his parents, are abusive. And so, not to like psychoanalyze this dude after I just called him codependent, but basically you have to imagine that in his childhood home, in his home life, he's doing specific behaviors to either elicit or not elicit specific behaviors out of his parents. So this is a learned trauma response from his childhood.
And then, to go further with it, he makes his friends come over to be a protection and a barrier between him and his family. So he's used to using people in this way to like navigate his own circumstances. And he is definitely, in a way, he is using Dojun to and appease his mother and to have this healthy.
He like regretted it at first. When they got there, he was like, "Oh shit, why did I do this?"
Like, of all the people I could have thrown to the dogs, I don't want to throw this guy. But then he does, he does mutually benefit from this relationship in a number of ways. And I do think these two, like, in most romance stories, people complete each other. And this, they definitely do, where it's like, okay, you can stand up to everyone in the world, but you can't stand up to your own mother. Meanwhile, Dojun looks like a pushover, but isn't afraid of your mother. Even though he is inside, he's not going to show it. So, like, in a way, they do just complete each other. So you're like, okay, well, if codependency is completing each other, then it doesn't look so bad. Until you realize, like, Jaehee would really throw it all away for this guy. And he's also compared him to like a dog. He's like, I'm obsessed with him in the way that you'd be obsessed with your own dog. Like, he entertains me and he distracts me from my problems, and toying with him and messing with him and getting a rise out of him is funny to me. So, like, there are problems with it, but also it's just one of these stories that I felt like was so relatable. I'm like, both of these people I completely relate to.
I want it on record that you're like, I relate to both of these people. And then I want a cutscene inserted here where the little bottom is laying in bed making out with his hand because the heart was drawn on his hand. That's what I want. I want that quote paired up with that cutscene. Could you do that and post
Let's
for me?
Let's just be really grateful that there's no flashbacks to my high school years, Val. Let's just be really grateful there's no flashbacks in real life, okay? Because, like, the hopeless romantic being, like, pushing away his love interest, even though he's at home making out with his own hand, being like, I don't like you, you're ugly, when he clearly has a boner in his pants. Like, he's not ugly. You have a boner for him right there. Like, it is so me. And then also the negative attention that the top wants by being like, I don't care if you poke me with your pencil, as long as, like, I get your attention. I'll bother you all day. I'll stalk you all day. Like, I could be both of these people. Also, I know a billion people who could be these people, and it feels like they're like shallow or silly or immature. And I'm like, we all kind of are. And it's kind of fun that I know in the manhwa I'm going to get a lot more trauma, but in the anime, the trauma was kind of left out. And it was just like, I don't know. It was just like two young, immature people trying to figure out how to grow into something more serious while not like losing the friendship and the pure joy that they have just playing basketball and like hanging out together. I don't know. I just loved it. I love that they spent a whole hour just making out in the anime. And there was like a timer going.
I know, that was so cute.
Like, it's so fucking cute. And I was like, yeah, this is one of those depictions of like first love or young love that I recognized and remembered all of these like stupid strategies you have when you're 20 years old and you're like, this is the game I'm going to play to get the guy. And meanwhile, the guy's like, I can see you're playing hard to get. You're not that tricky. And it's like, I've played these games before. What was crazy to me.
What was crazy to me is that, like, as we're watching it, I'm like, man, these episodes go so fast. And then, like, halfway through, they're like, oh, well, your arm's going to be healed in 2 weeks. And I was like, it's only been 2 weeks? Like, you down bad for this guy already 2 weeks into his broken arm scheme.
So let's go through the plot, because this all taking place in 4 weeks in 10 4-minute episodes is crazy. I'm sure I didn't look up how many chapters the manhwa is online, but I'm sure it feels more like 4 weeks. But this one, I'm like, you guys, it feels like now you have been together all year, because we've gone somehow into like our finals for this test. So the basic plot of this story is our two characters, Dojun and Jaehee, are high school friends, and at some point Jaehee takes an interest in Dojun, and Dojun is only interested in doing his schoolwork, and it seems like because Jaehee doesn't have immediate access to his attention, he's the thing that he can't have, so he's the only thing that he wants. And thus begins this bothering him and sitting too close to him. And when another schoolmate goes to fight with Jaehee, and Jaehee goes to protect Dojun, who he suddenly has this affection for, Dojun punches Jaehee in the face to get him out of this situation. And so we already from our first like childhood memories have the bottom being the slap happy bottom who is literally slapping around the top who's much bigger than him. And from this point, we in our first episode meet these characters walking into their dorm room together, and we find out that since high school, Jun has rejected and ghosted Jaehee. And they have not spoke since, even though Jaehee has been trying to contact him with all of his might. He has been completely ghosted. So this feels coordinated already. Like Jaehee pretty much immediately sees him and says, it's been a long time. Why did you ghost me? I've been calling you forever. Funny coincidence, we're roommates now. You can't escape me. Did you feel like this was...
we're roommates at the same university with the same major in all of the same classes, right? Right?
It felt
Isn't that
little
wild?
intentional, didn't it?
Weird coinky-dink, if you ask me.
Weird coincidence.
Nothing suspicious, though. No foul play. No foul play.
These things don't happen by accident. People are calculated, and this man knew what dorm he was going to walk into. So he finally has a chance to confront his high school love and ask him why he rejected him, why he ghosted him, why they couldn't remain friends after the fact. And he doesn't get a ton of closure. This guy is still rejecting him and pushing him away. So when they go to their class and he's following him across campus and bothering him, and the bottom is trying to run away from him, he goes to trip down the stairs and the top catches him breaking his wrist, which is the catalyst for our fake dating relationship.
Romance.
Our 4-week romance, because the top has finally a bit of leverage over the bottom to say, hey, you broke my arm, even though it was completely on accident and I was following you and I was kind of the reason you tripped. Let's forget all of those circumstances and say this is your fault for breaking my wrist. And you have to comfort me and be my fake boyfriend as a comfort while I heal, because he wouldn't accept him as his real boyfriend. So not taking no for an answer, which is usually quite fucking creepy, he pushes forward and gets Dojun to agree to be in this fake relationship for God's sake.
He's like, well, we're going to be together anyway because you have to take care of me because my arm is broken.
And we live together and we have all the same classes. I'll just basically date myself. You'll just let me believe in my head we're dating. And he's like, sure, that's honestly not so bad. And meanwhile, the top has no intention of doing it this way. And he never does.
In the bottom's mind, he's like, oh, well, he could have made me pay him money. And he like has money is high value to him. So he's like, oh, I'm getting a bargain because I'm not having to pay him money. All I have to do is fake date him. No probs. I can stand strong.
And this all parallels to their past in high school as well, where like similarly he had propositioned that they date. Similarly, he was more interested in being a couple than this other character was comfortable with at that time. So we are getting these constant flashbacks to their past and seeing that this has been the stalemate they've been in. And so the top is determined to change this. And the intro for every episode is a to-do list, which I just loved. That was like, to do, make Dojun mine. It's his only concern. So he has this deal to be fake boyfriends, and then we get several episodes of our characters going on dates and the bottom trying to pretend like he's not having fun and realizing his own guilt over ghosting this guy for so long is holding him back while still not fully committing to the bit. And we do finally culminate with a date that the bottom knows if he agrees to, going to this musical that he has expressed interest in, that his fake boyfriend bought tickets for, spent a lot of money on, tried really hard to get and coordinate. If he commits to that date, it's kind of like they're really dating. So he pushes back and he doesn't go on the musical.
For whatever reason, that's the line that he drew right there.
Because how personal that somebody listened to what you wanted and bought you exactly what you wanted. And as somebody whose birthday is coming up, it never happens. Like even the people who love you the most, like most of the times they aren't listening at the key moments. And this just showed that this other person really was going to always treat him better than he treated him in return. So he couldn't accept that gift. And he's from a poor background. It would feel like he owed him something, but he can't let go of that guilt. Meanwhile, we're getting Jaehee's perspective this whole time, and he doesn't feel that bad that he got rejected. This is all part of his plan to guilt him further into his arms.
Because he calls him out on it too. And so the guy, he says, no, I can't possibly. I have plans. I have to study. And so he goes to the library, is racked with guilt the entire time, gets back to the room. He's like, oh, hopefully he's asleep. He's not asleep. And he's just sitting there waiting for him to get back so he can pout about it. And as soon as he gets in there, he's like, don't you owe me an apology? And he was like, oh, yeah. And he goes, oh, but you don't even know what you're apologizing for. And then he, like, T for T, like, goes through every emotion that he knew that guy was feeling, called him out on, made him feel bad about it, called him out on everything. And then, like, in return, isn't that when he got the 30-minute touch reward?
Yeah, because he walks in the room and he's like, please let him be asleep. And he's literally waiting all sexy for him in the bed. And he's like, we need to have a talk. And it's just like, he would be sleazier if he was trickier about it. But he's admitting to manipulating him. He says in that whole monologue you're just going over, you know what, Dojun, you didn't ask for these tickets and you already had plans and it was pretty inconsiderate of me to buy these without you. And regardless of all of those reasons, you should still owe me something. And Dojun in his head is like, none of that made any sense. And I still don't know how to say no to this. And of course, he doesn't really, like, of course, there's something in the back of his mind that doesn't want to get out of this. He's smart enough that he could push this man away and get out of it if he didn't want to. He doesn't really want to. So he says, how can I pay you back for those tickets? He goes, a hug, a kiss. And he says no to everything.
Yeah.
Could I touch you? Oh, that's innocent. And it's so funny because
like,
every time
friends touch each other. Yeah, that would be fine.
And every time Dojun thinks that he can do himself
10 steps behind. Every like time he's like, yes, I got this. He's like actually like 10 steps behind the other dude. Like, oh shit.
Literally. The guy is like, okay, if you want to do a hug or a kiss, can I touch you? And he's like, sure, even friends touch. How naive is this guy? He thinks a touch is a good reward. Stupid. And it's like, no, you're naive. You didn't ask what touch means. Everyone else knows that touching could mean anything. And Val, what's the first thing he touches?
It's like when you're like, okay, wait, hold on. It's like when you're negotiating something and you're like, oh, I couldn't possibly, like you really want 300. And you're like, oh, I couldn't possibly take less than 600. And then they're like 500. And then you're like 500. And they're like, oh, 550. And then you like go down or whatever. And then you sell at 300 and you're like, oh, fuck, whatever, fuck you. I wanted 300 the whole time. And that's exactly what happened. He wanted the touch. So he led with kiss, which he knew he was going to get turned down. So then yes, he is like, oh, fine. Yeah, we settled on 30 minutes of touching. No problem. He's like, oh, well, let me just go wash my hands since we're going to go touch for 30 minutes. And then stupid little bottom is sitting on the side of the bed and he goes, wow, what a good compromise. Just touching for 30 minutes. Friends touch. Maybe I should let him hug me next time. Friends hug. And then he's like, wait a minute. He's been in there for quite some time. And then he opens the door, sopping wet, fresh out of the shower. And he's like, what took you so long? And he's, oh, well, it's hard to shower with one arm. And so he like lays in a little dig too while he's there, like, oh, don't forget, I only have one arm because of you. Little cherry on top.
He walks out with his towel. He is like, okay, we settled on 30 minutes of touching, which 30 minutes of touching? That is like so long. If someone
you're just gonna like sit there with palms touching, like what did this guy actually imagine when he agreed to 30 minutes of touching?
Yeah, he was definitely talking about touching his peen to your butthole. And so to be honest, you should have clarified.
He was gonna touch your belly button from the inside.
From the inside. It's just amazing to watch his realization hit that this shirtless man coming out at him is obviously gonna follow through on all of the promises he's made in the past. And when he's like, all right, I get to touch you. That means I can touch you anywhere. And the first fucking thing he does is make him suck on his finger.
Never mind. I figured out why it's rated R. I take back my previous statement. I forgot about the mouth fucking with his finger. I forgot about that. My bad. That's on me, fam. Sorry, chat.
Like, as if you put your penis or your finger in my mouth, just depending on the day, one of those is more intimate. And it is like, it really was quite explicit for what it was, but he makes him suck on his fucking finger. And he finger fucks his mouth. And he's like, oh, so you like it in your mouth. And then he's like,
because he gets a hard on. Like he looks down, he's like, oh, is this turning you on?
And he's like, you know how guys do it, right? Like explaining to him how he's going to fuck him, which this part got a little bit, so like my brain kept flipping between like, okay, you know this character and you know that this character is denying himself like true pleasure and happiness. And also this character is saying stop out loud and now disassociating into a flashback while this is all happening to him. And I was like, oh, no, this is traumatizing him. And as soon as you're kind of worried that he's going to do something like unforgivable, he snaps out of his flashback and the top is like, I can't control myself around the guy I have a crush on and that's my bad. I'm going to stop now. So like, sorry, I went a little hard there. And
ooh, that was on me.
And what does the bottom do? This moment changed everything. The bottom kisses him back on his own. I was like, okay, you were not dissociating because you're being traumatized. You were just, your brain was fritzing out. And that's fine. You were just contemplating your next move here, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say, I didn't even see it as disassociation. I saw it as like when a guy has a boner and they're trying to not have a boner and they say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, yeah,
it was like that.
Yes, just like
that's
get your mind off of this because you don't know how to handle it. And then at the last minute, he's like, I don't need my mind off. Why would I need my mind off of this? I'm an adult person with somebody who cares about me. Why do I keep taking my mind off of the one thing I truly want? What if I just go with it? And that's when you see his little timer that was only supposed to go for 30 minutes. And initially when he's
like 68 minutes.
68 minutes. And when he's first like finger fucking his mouth, he's like, 30 minutes is up, dude. And he's like, only 10 minutes is up. You have no idea what I could do with 30 minutes. And then by the end of this, he's like lost track of time and gone with the flow and enjoyed himself. And it's been 68 minutes and they're having this like hot makeout sesh. And at least in the anime, that moment doesn't go any farther. And I was just like
at the 68 minutes, they're still close.
Still clothed. And we've got the character like twitching his little toes and stuff. But it's one of those things where when it's done right, when
you know what, I didn't see that, but I'm glad that you saw that because you're not beating the allegations. You're not beating the foot allegations and you've outed yourself again. Everyone heard that, right? If you heard that and you heard every other time that I mocked Courtney for being into feet, comment toes for me if you would. Thank you.
I'm gonna go back to episode 7 where he's finger fucking his mouth and send you the picture because it's his feet in socks and the other guy's feet are not in socks because he's in a towel. And I took notice of all of it. There's another moment also.
Of course you did, babes.
When he's like shaking his foot, and I like made a note of it where I was like, wow, long shot of him just shaking his foot and like nervously shaking his foot. But why are there's other longer shots I could have noted. And you're right about that. And you're right to call me out because it's becoming very frequent that these feet are the most notable thing I can come up with. Anyways,
it was supposed to be a joke, and now she's in defeat. So
even though we get those kind of like twitchy moments, it never gets that explicit. And we move into our next episodes where they basically just confirm their feelings for each other. We've gone over the last moment where he's like, I finally got you to comply. And it feels like their dynamic moving forward will be less of this like push and pull and more of a cooperative kind of thing going on. Anyways, that like is as much spice as we're allowed in this rated R.
The spice, I know it's not actually spicy, but and I brought it up once, this is the last time, when he made out with his hand, the sounds were heinous. The sounds were a crime.
And I was going to say
the act itself, I was like tame, but then I was like, oh, he's like slurping his hand. Like, and I don't know if that's a word, but like that's the sound mechanism that was happening. It was getting slurped.
It got slurped
in his own hand.
And that, like the finger fuck in the mouth, that had some sounds. The first kiss when they were in high school had sounds. There was like several moments with this. Oh my God, when he sweats onto the other guy's face and his sweat drips.
That was hot.
It was so really fucking hot. And I was like.
And I'm not into sweat. Canonically.
Neither am I. In fact, I have an extremely sweaty husband who I kind of like, if I could change one thing about him, I'll be honest, it would be the sweat. I don't like the sweat. But in this, I feel like normally when the spice level isn't high enough for me, I just don't like a story. And this one, it felt like the manhwa I know for sure is spicier, and it felt like the anime was trying to use certain moments to allude to other things. So like the sweat dripping onto his face and almost into its mouth, it's like that is a bodily fluid that they're exchanging, and like it and I was just like, that moment felt almost more intimate than like some of the manhwas I've read where he's like raw dog and cream pie in that guy. Like something about that sweat dripping onto his face and that being the thing that turned him on so much he had to kiss him back. I was like, that is so spicy. And it convinced me to want to read this. And it also made it so that like that makeout sesh was like as hot for me as anything else would have been, just because of those details that the animators decided to put in there that are technically non-explicit that feel extremely intimate.
The animators in this were underpaid. The sound engineer in this was underpaid. Honestly, the voice acting, I thought it was also pretty good.
I thought it was good. And you do have to watch it in subtitles, but I feel like...
the episodes are so fast, I'm not losing attention like I normally do.
And there's always a notice on the screen that says, thank you to the Vicky Rakuten team for subtitles and timing. And I do feel like everything I've watched so far has had pretty great subtitles and timing and translations. And I think they're doing like a solid job. I think they're doing a solid job. And it's funny to me because I don't know a lot of people who use this app, who use Vicky Rakuten as a platform. Yeah. But I feel like what I've seen on there is so well done. And I did really like this. I wished a couple things. The to-do list at the intro, how it didn't have a translation for what the items were on the to-do list, that made me sad because I wanted to see what it was checking off as it went through. And that reminded me of 10 Things to Do Before I Turned 40.
Yeah.
I was like, except for we got to see that list.
I'm going to look it up so that we can talk to what the list was. This to-do list literally says 9 to 10:45 Principles of Accounting class. The next one says EIC study survey. The next one says 16 o'clock prep for accounting assignment pre-submission. And then the last one says midterm exam coverage review library.
I thought the checklist was going to say bribe dorm advisor to get me the right dorm.
I know.
Break my wrist. Blame him for breaking my... I thought it was going to be way funnier. That's nothing.
No,
That's
me too. I'm so glad I looked it up. So chat, who also were probably upset that there were no translations and also were probably, like we did, thought that it was like this master manipulation plan. It's just the bottom study to-do list. It's not even the tops list, probably.
Well, I guess I'm not that mad at the translators for leaving that out. They were like, don't worry, it's actually a disappointment if we were to translate. So
you don't actually care about this, and they were right.
Did you find out if that was in the manhwa or if that is just like the anime intro?
Based on the fact that it's related to like his classwork, I'm going to say it's not in the manhwa.
That is so annoying to me. In my head, I'm going to leave it as what it was, which was his whole manipulation strategy. Buy play tickets, get rejected. Don't go to the play. Like, that is all thought out in his head ahead of time.
100%. That would make so much more sense to me. You know what? The animators lose one kudos from me for not doing it the other way, for not writing that into the intro.
And also the author should include that in the story because it's just so funny. Yeah. Like,
Get them on the phone. Get them on the horn.
This whole idea that, like, the one character, when we get, like, the flashback to his head and the historical guy goes, well, you've taken out the insist you have absolutely no feelings package. And then, meanwhile, the strategy that the top is using is kill him with kindness. Kill him with kindness. Mm-hmm. Like, do be so overly kind. He has no option but to fall into your trap. And it's just so both of them are so like toxic in their own way, but they have like such good hearts. You can't hate them for it.
Dude, what about that one? Isn't there a moment though? I just remembered where like the top is like, oh, You're so, what word did he say? He said, not gullible. It's because when he was in class and he was
He said,
giving the
"You're a
kids
pushover."
notes,
And he
you're a
says, "I'm not a
pushover.
pushover." He says, "I just don't give a shit about anything but money."
But then there's like another part where the top is like, oh, you're such a pushover. I love that about you. Or like
Yep.
he like calls him out for it and was like, oh, I'm so into that. And I was just kind of like, I
That is
reeled back. But
that's literally the moment when he replies with, he says, "You're such a pushover, but that's
okay.
my type. I love that." And he's like, "That's awful to say about me. Why would you say that? Why would I
You're right,
want
you're
to
right, you're right.
date a guy who thinks I'm a pushover?" And he says, "Because even though I know you're a pushover,
Mm-hmm.
I will always treat you better than you will ever treat me." Kind of saying, I love a pushover. I want to be the one to protect you. I want to be the only one to like have the ability to do that and choose not to. As in a way to like be the best person in your life, I will acknowledge that you're a pushover and I still will try. I'll try to protect you from people who are abusing that, and the ways that I will abuse that you will like. And it, like that moment was crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
then right after it, we get this moment where the bottom is thinking about suffocating him in his sleep. And I was just like, it is just so funny to me because usually you would feel bad for the character who is being
Yeah.
outwardly manipulated, except for in his own head. He goes, "Should I kill him in his sleep? I could suffocate him." And I'm like, no, he's got agency. He's got agency.
I'll say, so other than like the to-do list being absolutely mundane and criminal, my only other small critique is that I think because we only got these like 4 to 6 minute episodes and there were only 10 of them, I don't feel like I got an adequate explanation for why when they were in high school, like what was the bottom's reasoning for breaking up with him and ghosting him. I don't feel like I got good closure on that, but I feel like the manhwa would cover it in detail.
I had to look it up because I didn't have enough closure and I was irritated that I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
enough closure. And so the
We're
only
the
thing
same.
that
That makes sense.
yes, and the only thing that alluded to the reasoning is his insight into his anxiety attack when you see all those voices talking and they're saying you can't afford to go on dates, you can't support yourself, so how would you even be able to afford to be romantic with another person? You have to remind yourself that you're alone and no one is there to catch you if you fall, so you cannot be distracted with romance and dating. It's not for you. And then one of his other anxiety characters, that is himself, says he was abandoned by his family and nobody loves him. You could at least let him date. And so these different conflicting voices in his head are having that conversation, but it's not easy to follow. So I looked it up and I said, I like Googled Dojun 4-week lovers trauma backstory. And I got a pretty clear answer that low money, had an abusive uncle, neglectful parents. Nobody loved or supported him.
Oh.
So he's afraid that if he doesn't love and support himself and relies on somebody else to do that, he'll be abandoned again. So it's like pretty cut and dry. I've been hurt, so now I'm trying to protect myself and not get hurt again by pushing people away. So it
Okay,
seemed,
okay.
from what I could tell, to all boil down to I didn't have healthy relationships growing up. I don't know how to accept love. And then Jaehee, his mom like hits him with a golf club when he gets bad grades, but
Yeah.
it seemed like overall his relationship with his parents and his upbringing was pretty privileged. And so he wasn't as, I don't know, sympathetic about why this person would have his guard up and his walls up with him. So
Yeah, so I guess I feel like it would have been easy for them to write something
yeah.
in quickly to give us the context of like
And earlier on,
everyone you've ever cared about has left you.
yes.
You can't care about someone or they'll also leave. Like that would have been such an easy thing to write in to give us context that the bottom's fear of abandonment and the feeling that he doesn't deserve love, like that would have been so easy because otherwise we're just like, oh, he's just being a brat. But
He's
in
being a
reality,
brat.
like, yeah, he is being a brat, but also he's traumatized.
I think most brats are kind of getting to that place by like some negative thing that has made them like defensive and protective of themselves, but it could have been alluded to in the first episode when they're in the taxi coming back from the hospital and he's thinking to himself, it would cost me so much money if I had to fix his arm. I've been working since I was 15. I don't have the money for this. I don't even have parents to give me an allowance. that could have been solved right there in episode 1. We would have been like, oh, he supports himself. He has no parents and he definitely cannot afford this medical bill. So money must be so tight he can't focus on anything but money. Like there could have been that sentence in a first episode, because sneaking it into the anxiety attack in episode 9 between voices in his head that are both himself was super confusing. Because there's this moment where one of his own voices in his head says, let him date. He had no parents. He's been abandoned. He should at least be able to have fun dating now. And then another character that is himself goes, no, he's got to focus on school. And it's just like, it wasn't clear how serious that trauma would have to be to actually reject the love of your life. So
right.
I wasn't super satisfied with
that.
It's
like such a small complaint for something that was so amusing and got me hooked.
Yeah.
Like so quickly. It was just one of those like, okay, if I've got to complain about something, I guess it would be that.
And I did have to go look it up. So it clearly wasn't an individual question that you had. Like that's a question that the anime does leave unanswered, which you would have to read the manga to understand, which honestly, I guess it got me to want to go read the manga.
Are we being manipulated? Are we being taken advantage of?
This author knows how to get under somebody's skin because Jaehee does it so well. So we've got this like ending, which alludes to them becoming an official couple and moving on. And I want to be disappointed with the ending and be like, no, I want more closure. But where's it going to go from there? Of course, I want a side story where they're just kissing and loving and hanging out in a cafe and like being together officially. Also, I don't need it. Yeah. Like I can imagine that is what's going to happen, and I know in the manhwa I probably do get it. So for me, the anime felt like it's an instant favorite of mine. It's a recommendation I could give to anyone, with the caveat that you have to have Vicky Rakuten to watch it. It's not on Crunchyroll. Yeah. So there's that. But otherwise, just very few fucking complaints. And a very obvious delusional boyfriend for me, which is Jaehee. Who is your delusional boyfriend?
Oh, yeah, the top 100%. Obviously.
He's just like, I love this moment.
Oh, someone who's obsessed with me, a Leo? Okay.
Oh my God, how horrible. I would hate that. You're talking to 2 Leos right now, listeners, and we both would love that.
During Leo season? Come on, get out of here.
It showed this like compilation where he's doing all of his best pickup lines and getting rejected from everyone. And he's like, are you single? Because I'm double. And he's like, he's
stupid. I loved it.
He's so stupid. And he's so clearly like, could be the most popular guy in school and doesn't give a shit if anyone else likes him. He just wants to hang out with this one rando who has caught his eye, and he has tunnel vision. And my husband has tunnel vision. We will be surrounded by 12 out of 10s, and I will look like a gremlin, and he will be like, girl, you are the hottest one here. How does it feel to be the hottest one here? And he means it so seriously because his tunnel vision it's debilitating. He does not see what's around him because something happened when that day he met me, he just like locked on. And it could have been another girl, but it luckily was me. And that's just how it feels with Jaehee, is that he locked on to Dojun, and it doesn't really matter why. That is the only person he sees now, and he can't change it. So he better get used to it.
Love that for you, dude.
I love that hopeless romantic thing. My little niece was just crying to me because the guy she is seeing told her that he's not ready for a relationship. Girl, you are a romantic. I am a romantic. If this guy is not a romantic, it will not work. You need someone who's a lover at heart. And this story being called 4-Week Lovers is funny because that's exactly what he is. He's a lover, and he just wants to love. He's the person who falls in love at first sight and never lets go, and believes in chasing that down forever and determining that it is fated. Even if the stars won't line up, he will force them to line up. And I love that. And I was like, girl, hang on, because there will be a guy out there. She's like, that's all a fantasy. It's a fairy tale. And I'm like, no, there are guys out there who really fall in love just like we fall in love. And it's one reason I love BL, is because it's the only time I see men actually expressing their romantic desires and their romantic hearts in a way that women would express them, in a vulnerable, transparent, honest, proud way, where they say, love fucking matters to me, romance fucking matters to me, and it doesn't matter that I'm a man. That is an admirable characteristic, and it's one I'm going to fight for. And you never, ever see men in real life given the permission to act like that and be these hopeless romantics. And they exist. They're just hard to find because they've been shamed out of it. And I just love that in this character. Jaehee fucking rules for that.
And for the ladies listening who don't go to therapy, there is a difference between being a simp and love bombing. And if you don't know the difference, you can call me and we'll work through it together.
Literally. Somebody's simping for you because they fucking know you and they understand you and they see you for what you are and they love all that shit and they love it down. They love your flaws. They love who you are. That is real. Somebody who's love bombing you, who doesn't know any of that, who is just there to get their own excitement, doing it for their own agenda, and somebody who's showering you with love and praise because they think you deserve it and they think that you're the fucking bee's knees. Like, that's
right.
There's a real and there's a fake. And at the end of the day, like, this fake relationship turned into real love. And I guess that's why people like this trope. And I usually don't like fake relationship tropes, but this one fucking sold it for me. I love this. Funny story by Emily Henry. We did a podcast episode on this year, and it's fake dating. And I said in that episode, I don't think I like fake dating, but it kind of makes me take it back. I kind of take it back. I might like fake dating. It just depends, I guess.
I was trying to think the other day. I was like, man, what are my favorite tropes? And I was like, honestly, it's probably easier for me to think about tropes that I don't like. But then I was trying to think of tropes that I don't like, and then I couldn't think of any. And I was like, man, I'm a book slut. It's fine.
There was a Goodreads review that was just like, damn, maybe I just like everything. Like, I am easy. I feel like I haven't had like this is my brand new favorite in a minute. And this I can say, like, the way I felt about Twittering Birds Never Fly and Classmates and Twilight Out of Focus, like I was like, oh, I'm ready for this to be my favorite. That's how I felt about this one. And I'm so glad that I finally watched it. Thank you so much for being here, Val. How does this story rank amongst your BL anime? And how does this boyfriend rate amongst your delusional boyfriends?
Ooh, I think I'm with you though, where it's like, I like stuff, like a lot of stuff. But this one, to your point, it also tickled something in my brain. And I love semantic error. And this had so many like parallels to semantic error. I think for me, this is above like Twittering Birds and some of the other ones that we've seen.
I feel like this one definitely gets knocked up my list. I also feel like, even though I wanted the episodes to be longer, it's going to be such an easy recommendation if I can get someone to get on Viki, because it's only 60 minutes long. And then it's such a clear segue into the manhwa. So yes. I feel like it just has all of those things working in its favor. And then Jaehee, I feel like mentioning your favorite tropes, I'm realizing, and I've probably said this before and recognized it before, but campus romance, college romance is clearly like something I'm biased towards because I met my husband on campus. And these ones... Yeah. Banana Scandal and Semantic Error. We've got BJ Alex, Can't Think Straight. Like, there's so many college campus. So I think I am probably biased towards that, which probably helps this shoot up my list a bit. Easy that they're both adults and easy forced proximity. It's also, I think, like a fun way to introduce side characters when you have study groups and professors and stuff like that. So I just think it makes a dynamic universe. In a university, I like going to the coffee shop and seeing the barista, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I think that was working in this favor, which is that it's a campus romance, and I think I'll always kind of like campus romance. I also do like
there's a new campus romance that Eyes Press just got the rights for. I'm going to look it up because you're going to love it. It is the one where it's got like this guy, and I'm just gonna look up the name. I can't remember the name. I just finished like less than a month ago reading the whole damn thing, and then Eyes announced that they were getting
physicals.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, cool. I guess I need trophies. The reason I thought about it is, to your point, it's a college story. It's a bit of a slow burn, but because it's a slow burn, we get side characters. And this has one of the best side character pairings that you've ever seen, which is big tattooed mafia boss who everyone's afraid of, and little twink who's just finding his sexuality, and it's this guy, and that's who his sexuality is. It's just this guy.
I love it. Another tunnel vision story. Right. You're my type. Just you.
Okay, so you're my type. So I think you're gonna, when you read this one, I know this is not the episode that we're talking about. For everyone else that's listening, Love So Pure. It's going to be printed by Ice Press. It's really good. You should go read it. The main couple, I have to bring this up because I think it's one of Courtney's favorites. It's this, like, the bottom is obsessed with sex, but he like refuses to sleep with people more than once, and then he finds a guy and he's like, oh no, your body type is the perfect type for me, oh no, and the person who he like falls for physically is just like the sweetest person you've ever met in your whole life, who's never been with anyone before ever. You're gonna love it.
You just did a video on 3 Yuri anime going on right now. And then I feel like we got a couple announcements for BL anime coming up. So I feel like anime, we're gonna get, I feel like, of course, we have a lot of written media. It's harder to get that written media animated. It's very expensive. And I feel like we're getting more in the BLGL space, which I'm super excited about. And you guys, if you're not following Val, I don't know, I didn't say this at the beginning of the episode. Val, can they follow you to get all of your good ass Yuri recommendations?
I've got all kinds of recs all over the place. I'm Girls Gaze Animes on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I haven't streamed in a while, but if I promise I will. I'm on Twitch, but I'm Girls Gay. It's Gaymes. Everywhere else, it's just Girls Gaze Animes, one word.
And absolutely go check out this recent recommendation because we're talking about 3 different Yuris.
3 new Yuris.
Yep.
And they're all actively airing right now.
Crazy.
One is like a dark Yuri where orphans are being trained to fight. One is like if the Little Mermaid were sapphic, where she thought she wanted a prince, but oh wait, maybe she doesn't want a prince. And then the third one, which is my absolute favorite for the season, is called Young Ladies Don't Play Fighting Games. And it's these girls that are obsessed with playing Street Fighter in their all-girls dorm. And it's so silly goofy. And there's like a Kabedana in episode 1, and there's a little Doki Doki moment, and then they beat the shit out of each other while playing Street Fighter. So like, it's so good.
I must admit, I feel like I've never seen a Yuri Kabedon. Like, girl and a girl, like a girl. They're both girls.
And it was the shorter one.
It was the short.
Yeah. So if you're into that sort of stuff, go follow me and also go check them out and then get in my comments and tell me how much you love them because I need more people to talk to me about Yuris.
That's one of the things I love about you as a creator is you do have a pretty well-rounded grasp on like your reading material. I feel like we always get good different recommendations from you, whether that's going to be like gender representation, sexuality representation, even sometimes stories that are not totally romance stories get snuck in there once in a while. But you do have more Yuri
I love spooky
content.
shit.
Yeah, spooky shit, Junjo, but I do think your Yuri piece of the pie is more substantial than most creators in this space. So if you guys are maybe a little pansexual, bisexual, lesbian out there and you feel like the queer media that is mostly talked about is BL and you want more GL, Val is a creator for you. There's a lot of good old videos, and I'm positive many future videos to come recommending Yuri manhwa, manga, and anime. So absolutely do follow.
Also, if you're into that sort of thing, I have a conspiracy theory because Yen Press, it's no coincidence. Both Love Bullet Volume 2 and Green Yuri Volume 4 are scheduled to release on the same day this year, and they're cooking something at Yen Press. I don't know what it is yet. They're cooking something there.
And they're very clearly giving the audience what they want when other publishers are kind of ignoring this demand. So go Yen 100%. Press, Eyes Press. Like I am a big fan of that publishing house. So their imprints are good. They're good. The quality of the product is amazing. Great backlog. So cannot wait to see how that goes. Green Yuri, it has to go on the calendar next year. The guy she's into wasn't really a guy at all. So that has been out for so long, but we're getting the anime this fall.
I want to say 27.
Is it 2027? And they just announced that they got the rights for a Nirvana song called Breed to be the intro. And I was just like, I think I've waited almost too long. I really do need to jump on this bandwagon while it's still so exciting. Like that when everyone was watching Heated Rivalry together, it's this big mass hysteria. And I feel like when the Green Yuri anime drops, it's going to be the same where everybody is so hyped on it. And you know how I love when the fandom gets crazy.
I feel like we should do something special for it. I feel like we should either do like a watch party or we should do like a live watch, or a recorded like live reaction watch of just us or a watch party or something.
I'm committing right now to this watch party. I think this is so fun. We're absolutely going to do this. And I feel like I'm going to read what's available before we do it. Should I read what's available or should I be completely shocked by what happens?
I think at this point, since it's like going to be in 27, I feel like you should just raw dog it because also by then we'll still only have 4 volumes in English, which isn't a ton of source material. So I'm interested to see how far the story goes in the animation too, considering what we have translated up to this point.
I'll raw dog it for our watch through, and then I'll schedule our like manga episode maybe the next month, so that way I can like read the manga, and then we can be like, okay, this is so now how do you feel like the adaptation was? Do you like the manga better? So then we can do a little comparison. It'll be so fun. So if you guys are listening out there and this all sounds fun to you, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe and turn on your auto downloads on the podcast apps you're listening on. And if you love the podcast, it'd be so great if you go ahead and leave us a little review on the Apples, Spotify, wherever you can, and tell a little friend about us. Go follow Val everywhere. Thank you guys so much for being here. And until next time, remember, sometimes the delusion
is the solution.
Bye.
Bye.